One of the last messages sent from the doomed Titan submersible was a simple yet haunting. All good here, but as we now tragically know, all was not well beneath the waves. According to a recent presentation from a US Coast Guard hearing on the deadly implosion, this message marked one of the final communications before disaster struck. The Marine Board of Investigation for the US Coast Guard has commenced a 2-week hearing into the incident 15 months after the OceanGate vessel catastrophically imploded during its deep-sea voyage, claiming the lives of all 5 people aboard. In today's video, we'll delve deep into the detailed highlights of what was revealed during the hearing. We'll examine each piece of evidence and testimony presented, shedding light on the sequence of events that led to this devastating incident. Join us as we piece together the final moments of the Titan's voyage and explore the implications for deep-sea exploration moving forward. As a special thank you to our viewers, we're excited to announce a free giveaway of an exclusive 3D printed model of the OceanGate submersible. This detailed model is designed to float and dive in your pool, bringing a piece of deep-sea exploration right to your home. Don't miss your chance to win. Participate through the link in the description or secure your own model by purchasing it on our website. Dive into the world of OceanGate with us. The hearing began with OceanGate offering heartfelt condolences to the victims' families. A spokesperson for the company stated, "There are no words to ease the loss endured by the families impacted by this tragic accident." They added that OceanGate hopes the hearing will shed light on what transpired during the ill-fated voyage. Everyone in the room then observed a moment of silence for the 5 individuals who lost their lives: Stockton Rush, father and son Shahzada, and Suleiman Dawood, British billionaire Hamish Harding, and French sub-pilot Paul-Henri Narjolet. As the hearing progressed, startling revelations emerged about the construction and certification of the Titan submersible. Detailed insights into the prototype history of the Titan shed light on potential factors that may have contributed to the tragedy. The journey began in 2013 when OceanGate entered into a $5 million contract with the University of Washington's Applied Physics Lab, UWAPL. The objective was ambitious: to develop, construct, and test a manned carbon fiber submersible, later to be known as the Titan. Between 2015 and 2016, OceanGate conducted tests on 1/3 scale models of the submersible. However, these prototypes faced repeated failures at various depths. December 2015 failed at 2,943 meters, February 2016 failed at 4,121 meters, March 2016 failed at 2,753 meters, July 2016 failed at 4,465 meters. These failures were significant, especially considering that the Titanic wreck lies at approximately 3,335 meters deep. Diagrams from OceanGate illustrated the December 2015 model, highlighting the structural challenges encountered during testing. In 2017, the carbon fiber hull of the Titan was completed by Spencer Composites, notably without oversight from the US Coast Guard or any classification society. Crucially, non-destructive testing, NDT, a method to evaluate materials without causing damage, was not conducted on the hull. This omission meant potential flaws or weaknesses might have gone undetected. Originally, OceanGate planned to use carbon fiber domes. However, due to the prototype failures, they switched to titanium domes and rings, manufactured by Tifab, again without regulatory oversight. It's important to note that the American Bureau of Shipping, ABS, underwater rules do not permit the use of carbon fiber composites for pressure vessels for human occupancy, PVHOS, highlighting a significant regulatory concern. Further details revealed that the Titan submersible was unregistered, non-certificated, and unclassed, lacking any official identification number. Built in 2020 and weighing 23,000 pounds, the vessel featured a pressure hull approximately 8 feet long with a 5-inch thick carbon fiber filament. This carbon fiber hull was glued to titanium rings, which were then affixed to titanium domes. These revelations raise serious concerns about the construction practices and safety protocols observed during the development of the Titan. The absence of oversight, repeated prototype failures, and deviations from industry standards may have been significant factors contributing to the tragic loss of life and total constructive loss of the submersible. Continuing with the hearing, more unsettling details emerged about the construction and testing of the Titan submersible. In March 2017, OceanGate announced it would be conducting trips to the Titanic shipwreck, pricing an SME ticket at $105, the inflation-adjusted cost of a first-class ticket on the original Titanic, which was $350 in 1912. Despite the ambitious endeavor, the company operated most of its engineering in-house, with minimal interaction from external experts like the University of Washington's Applied Physics Lab. In July 2017, OceanGate employees bonded the submersible's carbon fiber hull and titanium rings using an adhesive. This method of construction, especially for a vessel intended to withstand extreme deep-sea pressures, raised significant safety concerns. By January 2018, the Titan was fully assembled. The following month, in February 2018, it completed its first manned dive to 3,000 meters. However, challenges soon arose. In April 2018, the Titan arrived in the Bahamas, but was allegedly struck by lightning, delaying scheduled test dives. Consequently, OceanGate released a statement canceling the 2018 Titanic expedition, citing overhead due to weather and the inability to achieve a 4,000-meter depth less than 45 days before the expedition. Despite these setbacks, in June 2018, the Titan conducted 3 unmanned dives to depths of 1,200 meters, 2,500 meters, and 4,000 meters. These tests aimed to validate the submersible's capabilities, but the methods and results remained under scrutiny. Further concerns surfaced when it was revealed that parts of the submersible were bonded together using an adhesive. Experts questioned the reliability of such a method for deep-sea vessels, where materials are subjected to immense pressures that could compromise adhesive bonds. The situation became more alarming as we look into late 2018 and 2019. In December 2018, OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush completed a solo dive in a Titan prototype to approximately 3,900 meters. Then, in April 2019, another dive reached 3,160 meters with 4 crew members on board. However, in June 2019, an OceanGate pilot visually identified a large crack on the internal surface of the carbon fiber hull. This critical discovery led to the cancellation of the 2019 Titanic expedition, with the company citing complications with the status and flag of the support vessel MV Havilah Harmony. In October 2019, the Titan underwent testing at a deep ocean test facility. During these tests, the hull showed signs of fatigue, a serious issue that prompted OceanGate to derate the submersible's maximum operating depth to 3,000 meters. These revelations from the hearing paint a concerning picture of the Titan's development and operational history. The repeated prototype failures, reliance on adhesive bonding for critical structural components, and signs of material fatigue all suggest that the submersible may not have been adequately prepared for the extreme conditions of deep-sea exploration. The operations continues with the operational history of the Titan. The 2021 expedition emerges as a pivotal point in understanding the submersible's challenges. Between June 28th and August 6th, the Titan attempted 10 dives to the Titanic's resting place, with 6 successfully reaching the shipwreck. Before welcoming paying passengers, known as mission specialists, only 1 test dive was conducted, a decision that would soon prove questionable. During these dives, a staggering 70 equipment issues were identified. The forward dome fell off during recovery. Multiple drop weight issues plagued the missions. A drop weight and thruster failure occurred at a depth of 3,500 meters. The platform was damaged upon recovery. These problems not only disrupted operations, but also raised serious safety concerns about the Titan's readiness for deep-sea exploration with passengers on board. The 2022 expedition did little to alleviate these concerns. From June 14th to July 25th, 13 dives were attempted, with 7 reaching the Titanic. This time, 48 equipment issues were recorded. One alarming incident involved the Titan's batteries dying, which extended the crew's time inside the submersible to 27 hours, far beyond planned durations. Additional issues included damage to both the submersible and platform during recovery, the aft fairing tearing off, continued drop weight malfunctions. Perhaps most concerning was the Titan being left uncovered in a car park near the port for months after the expedition. Exposure to the elements could have compromised the submersible's structural integrity, yet it seemingly went unchecked. The pattern of neglect and oversight reached a critical point in 2023, just a month before the tragic implosion. During a routine expedition, the Titan was found partially sunk in the ocean. Prior to this, familiarization training had been conducted with the support vessel Polar Prince, but no mission specialists were aboard, and no dives were completed. On May 24th, after enduring high seas and fog, both the Titan and its platform were discovered partially submerged, with the tail cone fairing ripped off. Despite this alarming incident, operations continued. A test dive conducted 3 days later revealed 13 equipment issues that required correction. Let's break down the significant events leading up to the tragedy. Titanic Expedition 2023. Mission Neural 1 from May 11 to May 19th. The Polar Prince departed on May 11th to rendezvous with the Titan for familiarization training. No mission specialists were aboard and no dives were completed. Mission number 2 from May 20th to May 28th. Departed St. John's on May 20th, towing the Titan at an average speed of 7.4 knots, 8.4 mph, towards the Titanic site. On May 22nd, an unmanned dive 84, was conducted. On May 24th, the Titan and its platform were found partially sunk with significant damage. A post-incident test dive on May 27th recorded 13 equipment issues needing attention. Mission number 3, from May 29th to June 6th, departed on May 29th to continue checks following the May 24th incident. Conducted shallow dives on May 30th and May 31st, dive 85, reaching only 10 meters. On June 5th, dive 86 was completed with 3 mission specialists aboard. Mission number 4 from June 7th to June 15th. Departed on June 7th, but due to adverse weather at the Titanic site, the vessel transited 400 nautical miles northwest. On June 12th, during dive 87, the Titan experienced a variable ballast tank issue. Upon resurfacing, a critical error caused the platform to invert at a 45-degree angle, with the bow pointing upward. This sudden movement slammed all 5 occupants to the aft of the submersible. The Titan became partially disconnected from the launch and recovery system, LARs. Battling approximately 6-foot waves, the submersible and its occupants endured a harrowing 1-hour ordeal before the platform was corrected. Visual documentation from the hearing showed the Titan partially sunk on the morning of May 24, 2023, highlighting the severity of the incidents leading up to the disaster. As the hearing continued, further harrowing details emerged, shedding light on both the events leading up to the tragedy and the fateful day itself. These revelations from the hearing provide crucial insights into what transpired. Previous incidents saw crew slammed against submersible. On June 12, 2023, just 6 days before the disaster, an alarming incident was recorded. The Titan experienced a variable ballast tank issue while resurfacing. This malfunction caused the platform to invert to a 45-degree angle, pushing the bow of the submersible upward. As a result, all 5 individuals inside were slammed into the aft, the rearmost part of the vessel's interior. This incident, highlighted during the hearing, raised serious concerns about the Titan's safety and mechanical integrity. The hearing provided a detailed timeline of the fatal dive on June 18, 2023. At 5:15 a.m., the Titan's support vessel, the Polar Prince, arrived at the dive site. At 5:30 a.m., a final briefing was held in the helicopter hangar. At 6:30 a.m., 2 inflatable boats were launched, and final checks on the Titan were conducted. At 7:35 a.m., passengers were transferred to the platform via an inflatable boat. At 8:30 a.m., the passengers boarded the Titan. At 8:55 a.m., the platform was vented, allowing it to sink to an operational depth of 30 feet. At 9:14 a.m., the Titan left the platform and began its descent to the Titanic wreckage. At 9:18 a.m., a standard K communication was exchanged between the Polar Prince and the Titan, confirming functional communications. The Polar Prince received a ping from the Titan every 5 to 10 seconds, indicating ongoing contact. As the Titan descended, communications remained routine with no indications of any issues on board. However, at 10:47 a.m., approximately an hour and a half into the dive, the Titan sent a message stating dropped 2 WTS, signifying the release of 2 drop weights, a procedure that could suggest an attempt to adjust buoyancy. At this point, the submersible was at a depth of about 3,241 meters. This was the last message received from the Titan. 6 seconds later, the Polar Prince received the final ping from the submersible at a depth of 3,346 meters. At 10:49 a.m., the Polar Prince sent a message to the Titan saying, "Lost tracking," but received no response. Concerned by the lack of communication, the crew continued to message the Titan 2 to 3 times per minute, yet there was still no reply. By 11:15 a.m., the master of the Polar Prince was informed of the loss of communication with the submersible. The mission director indicated that they followed the missed communications protocol as outlined in the OceanGate Health, Safety and Environment HSE manual. Despite the protocols, the Titan's failure to resurface at the expected time of 3 p.m. heightened fears. The Polar Prince initiated a grid pattern surface search, but was unable to locate the submersible. A critical point raised during the hearing was the delay in contacting emergency services. The Master of the Polar Prince reported that they contacted the Joint Rescue Coordination Center, JRCC Halifax, at 6:27 p.m., 3 hours after the search had begun. This delay occurred after a meeting with OceanGate staff and others. Initial attempts to communicate were hindered due to satellite phone issues. Once contact was established, they were informed that the JRCC in Boston held jurisdiction over the search and rescue efforts. Subsequently, the Canadian Coast Guard was contacted at 7:10 p.m., and the crew was referred to the U.S. Coast Guard Rescue Coordination Center, Boston. The delay in notifying authorities was a significant concern highlighted during the hearing, potentially impacting the timeliness of search and rescue operations. In a somber conclusion to the hearing's revelations, an image was presented showing the Titan's aft tail cone on the sea floor. On June 22, 2023, at 10:50 a.m., a remotely operated vehicle, ROV, from Pelagic Research Services located the debris at the last known distress location. This discovery provided conclusive evidence of the catastrophic implosion of the Titan and the tragic loss of all 5 individuals on board. The image, captured by the ROV, depicted the tail cone alongside other debris, marking the final resting place of the submersible. According to the factual information presented, on June 22, 2023, at 10:50 a.m., local, the Pelagic Research Services 6000 ROV, which had been searching since arrival at the distress location, discovered the aft tail cone and other debris of the Titan on the seafloor. This discovery led to the conclusive evidence of the catastrophic loss of the submersible Titan and the death of all 5 members aboard. The hearing's insights reveal a sequence of events marked by mechanical issues, procedural oversights, and delayed emergency responses. The previous incidents, especially the one on June 12th, where crew members were slammed against the submersible's interior, suggest that critical warning signs were present, but perhaps not adequately addressed. The detailed timeline of the final dive underscores how swiftly the situation deteriorated, from routine communications to total silence in a matter of minutes. The absence of any distress signals or communications about an emergency on board leaves many questions unanswered about the submersible's final moments. As the hearing continued, further harrowing details emerged about the tragedy and the operations leading up to it. One of the solemn revelations from the hearing was that 2 recovery operations were launched, during which presumed human remains were recovered from the ocean floor. These remains were transported ashore and later confirmed through DNA analysis to match the profiles of the 5 victims. This grim discovery brought a measure of closure to the families affected by the disaster. The hearing then shifted to testimonies, starting with Tony Nissen, OceanGate's former Director of Engineering. Before beginning his evidence, he turned to the families of the victims to express his deepest condolences. He stated, "There are some things I saw in this presentation that are disturbing. There's some things that bother me professionally and personally." As Mr. Nissen began his testimony, an unexpected moment underscored the emotional weight of the proceedings. A pinging noise interrupted his statements, prompting him to explain, "That's my watch telling me I have an abnormally high heart rate." Mr. Nissen recounted that he began working with OceanGate in March 2016, initially hired to work on a craft that was nearly complete. He was told his role was to take it over the finish line and that his employment would be for about a year. He wasn't involved in designing the submersible and was unaware that OceanGate planned expeditions to the Titanic wreckage. His first inkling of this plan came when he noticed a colleague had a model of the Titanic, prompting him to realize the company's ambitious goals. Describing the company's engineering department, Mr. Nissen revealed that it largely consisted of just the CEO Stockton Rush. At the time of his hiring, when asked about the workplace environment, he mentioned that the first week was great, but then paused before admitting it was hard being an outsider. Taking initiative, he built up the engineering department until it became pretty substantial. Upon learning about the plans for a deep-sea submersible with a carbon fiber hull, which would eventually become the Titan, he thought, "That's interesting." While there were reports suggesting such a design was possible, it was uncharted territory with significant risks. When questioned about why the submersible was never classed or certified by regulatory bodies, Mr. Nissen said that Mr. Rush would go back and forth on the issue, but that it seemed like a dead end for him. He expressed regret, saying, "I wish I knew why it never got there." The hearing delved into OceanGate's relationship with the University of Washington Applied Physics Lab, APL-UW. OceanGate had previously claimed collaboration with APLUW on the Cyclops Y, a 3,000-meter 5-person submersible. However, APLUW has since clarified their limited involvement, stating, "The physics lab initially signed a $5 million research collaborative agreement with OceanGate, but only $650,000 worth of work was completed before the two organizations parted ways. That collaboration resulted in a steel-hulled vessel, named the Cyclops 1, that can travel to 500 meters depth, which is far shallower than the depths that OceanGate's Titan submersible traveled to. The laboratory was not involved in the design, engineering, or testing of the Titan submersible used in the RMS Titanic expedition." Mr. Nissen mentioned that he had a good working relationship with APLUW's principal engineer, Pete Brodsky, but noted that Mr. Brodsky and Stockton Rush did not get along as well. He explained, "Pete wasn't okay with using glass spheres on the outside of the submersible and decided to remove himself from the project for that reason. He described the time around 2016 as a tumultuous period for the company." When questioned about who made the majority of engineering decisions at OceanGate, Mr. Nissen candidly stated that while he made some decisions, it was Stockton Rush who made most of them. He recounted frequent disagreements over design choices and admitted he was struggling to find the professional words to be able to put it. Arguments were often held behind closed doors, and there was solid disagreement on critical issues. "Most people would eventually back down from Stockton. It was almost death by 1,000 cuts," he remarked, illustrating the challenging dynamics within the company. Further concerns emerged as Mr. Nissen recounted witnessing a rapid decompression during the testing phase. He shared that when he joined OceanGate, a 1/3 scale model of the Titan had already been built to simulate how the full-scale vessel would perform under deep-sea pressures. Invited by Mr. Rush to observe one of these models during testing, he witnessed it implode. "I wasn't surprised that it failed where it did," he noted, adding that 2 other models had also failed in previous tests. These incidents highlighted potential flaws in the design and raised red flags about the submersible's structural integrity. Returning to the tragic final dive, the hearing revisited the last communications between the Titan and the Polar Prince. An animation shared by the US Coast Guard illustrated that the last words heard from the crew were "all good here." The crew had been in routine communication with the support vessel as they descended, exchanging status updates. Contact was lost after repeated inquiries from the Polar Prince about the submersible's depth and status as it continued its descent. The Titan's final responses became increasingly sporadic before ceasing altogether. Continuing with the revelations from the hearing, more concerning details emerged about the development and testing phases of the Titan submersible. Former OceanGate engineering director Tony Nissen testified that when he joined the company in 2016, a 1/3 scale model of the Titan had already been built to test how it would perform at full scale. Invited by CEO Stockton Rush to observe testing, Nissen witnessed one of these models implode due to a rapid decompression. He noted that he wasn't surprised by the failure, stating, "I wasn't surprised that it failed where it did." He also mentioned that there had been 2 previous implosions during tests. When asked if any changes were made to the full-scale model to address these failures, Nissen revealed that Brian Spencer, the CEO of Spencer Composites, the company contracted to build the submersible's hull, refused to alter the design. Nissen had expressed concerns, telling Spencer that the design fell short, but Spencer was adamant, believing his hull would hold. Nissen further alleged that Stockton Rush justified the implosions by claiming the hull was already compromised due to previous rapid decompressions. Regarding the pressure depths, Nissen stated that while the target was 4,000 meters, the models had imploded at 4,200 meters. Rush aimed for a depth of 4,500 meters to be more conservative, but the failures indicated significant design issues. The hearing revisited the critical issue of why the Titan was never classed by the Classification Society, an organization responsible for maintaining technical standards for ship construction and operation. Nissen believed the submersible's carbon fiber hull was a significant part of the issue. He explained that Stockton Rush was primarily concerned about the time and cost associated with the classification process. Rush reportedly felt that the Classification Society's plans were ridiculous, too expensive, and that they stifled innovation. Nissen recalled Rush expressing frustration. "One of the days he was crying on my shoulder saying it would take too long, it's way too expensive, it's ridiculous in his words, it stifles innovation." Despite these concerns, Nissen did not believe that simply classing the Titan would have prevented the accident, but he emphasized the importance of following proper engineering guidance and safety protocols. The hearing also touched on an incident from 2018 when the Titan was fully assembled. During test dives in April, the submersible failed one of the tests by a wide margin. Nissen explained that the Titan had been struck by lightning, which he believed significantly compromised the structure. To fail the testing by that much, that's a significant blow to the structure somehow. There's only a few things that can do that. Lightning was one of them, he said. A poignant moment in the hearing was when Nissen revealed that he was fired from OceanGate after refusing to sign off on a hull that he believed was damaged ahead of the 2019 Titanic expedition. He recounted, "I wouldn't sign off on it, so I got terminated." Nissen was taken to lunch by Stockton Rush, who informed him that board members felt either he or Rush had to go, implying a conflict over safety concerns. Rush reportedly told him, "It's not gonna be me." When asked if he would have felt comfortable going down in the Titan submersible, Nissen replied that he refused to get on board. Despite Rush wanting him to be the pilot for the Titanic missions, Nissen declined, stating, "I'm not getting in it." He expressed distrust, not only in the operations crew, but also in Rush himself, saying, "We didn't have the standards we set forth." The hearing then heard from Bonnie Carl, OceanGate's former human resources and finance director. She provided insights into how wealthy individuals became mission specialists on the Titan expeditions. Carl explained that these individuals were essentially paying customers, all of whom were high net worth individuals. They would make payments as deposits for future expeditions, and these funds went directly into the company's operations. When asked about any qualifications required to become a mission specialist, Carl candidly responded that the only requirement was money. She also mentioned that there was no refund process if trips were cancelled, and that she never saw anyone sign a waiver, even though she was aware that such waivers existed. "When I was taking money, we hadn't even finished building the Titan," she noted, highlighting a potential lapse in procedural safeguards. Continuing with the details revealed during the hearing, additional testimonies brought to light serious safety concerns and operational insights regarding the Titan submersible. Former OceanGate Finance and Human Resources Director Bonnie Carl testified about her apprehensions concerning the Titan's safety. Also a pilot in training, Ms. Carl had conducted around a dozen domestic dives in the Titan. She stated that there were a couple of things that gave me pause. One of her primary concerns, or first red flag, was when engineering director Tony Nissen refused to show her the paperwork for the sub's acrylic dome. Additionally, she noticed that an O-ring groove on the vessel's titanium components looked odd. Being an experienced scuba diver, Ms. Carl understood the critical importance of O-rings in maintaining pressure integrity. Her questions about these issues were not satisfactorily answered. During a subsequent safety meeting, it was revealed that the paperwork she was denied access to indicated the dome was rated for depths up to 1,300 meters, significantly less than the depth required to reach the Titanic wreckage, which lies at approximately 3,800 meters. She remarked, "That was why Tony Nissen didn't want us to see it." Ms. Carl explained that these unresolved safety issues led her to leave OceanGate in 2018. She stated, It became abundantly clear to me OceanGate was not a place I wanted to work if that was their attitude to safety. I didn't want to work for that company." She also expressed her full trust in David Lockridge, a former OceanGate engineer and subpilot who had previously alleged he was fired for raising safety concerns. The hearing then moved on to former OceanGate contractor Tim Catterson, who brought decades of experience with manned submersibles since the 1980s. He began working with OceanGate around 2003 or 2004 when the company had purchased a submersible he had built. They sought his expertise to understand and operate the vessel. Mr. Catterson testified that he never piloted the Titan but was aware that it had not been classed, meaning it hadn't received certification from a recognized authority verifying its design and safety standards. He emphasized that in his extensive experience, all other submersibles he worked on were classed. He explained, "Classification is akin to proof of due diligence and provides a third-party opinion on a vessel's safety, much like seeking a second opinion from a doctor. It is also essential for obtaining insurance for submersibles." When asked if he discussed this with Stockton Rush, Mr. Catterson said their interactions on the topic were usually rather short. He recounted, "I had explained this to him, and I guess this wasn't as big of a worry for him as it would be for most people. I said my piece, and that's as far as it went." Mr. Catterson participated in all 3 years of the Titan's expeditions to the Titanic, typically joining 2 or 3 trips per expedition. His role often involved entering the water to guide the submersible during landing. He recounted an incident in 2022 where the Titan's crew attempted to ascend by dropping weights, but the mechanism wasn't functioning properly. The submersible was coming up quite slow and risked being stuck at a depth between 1,200 and 1,500 meters. The crew prepared to use the emergency drop weight, but it didn't completely release, highlighting a critical safety failure. Mr. Catterson provided detailed observations about the day of the Titan's final dive on June 18, 2023. Perfect diving day. He described the day as appearing to be a perfect diving day. Leading up to that day, weather conditions had been poor, with previous dives weathered out due to low visibility and rough seas. He noted, "Visibility rule. There is a standard that submersibles should not be launched or recovered unless there is at least 1 kilometer of visibility. Prior days offered perhaps 100 feet at best. On the final day, the fog was gone, the ocean was calm. It seemed as though somebody just blessed it that day." Mr. Catterson mentioned that the Titan launched on schedule for one of the few times as launches were typically delayed due to extensive checks. His responsibilities included inspecting the platform from which the submersible was launched, a process taking about 15 to 20 minutes. He stated, "There were no red flags. It was a good day." Assigned to a dinghy supporting the mission, he was equipped with a radio to maintain communication. Once the Titan set off, Mr. Catterson's duties as a platform operator concluded after the submersible passed a depth of 1,000 meters. He then returned to the Polar Prince to have breakfast and rest, having been active since 4 a.m. setting up for the dive. He was not immediately informed of any issues during his downtime. It wasn't until approximately 9:45 a.m. to 10 a.m. that he became aware the Polar Prince had stopped receiving communications from the Titan. Despite being off duty, he offered his expertise, stating, "In truth, I was a bystander. We did everything that we could to try to ascertain whether it was just a communications issue or something else." He inquired about the specifics of the communication loss and noted that both tracking and communications were lost simultaneously as they were integrated systems. Mr. Catterson remained on the Polar Prince throughout the search efforts for the submersible. The testimonies of both Ms. Carl and Mr. Catterson highlight recurring themes of safety concerns and dismissed warnings within OceanGate's operations. Lack of transparency. Ms. Carl's inability to access crucial safety documents and unresolved concerns about equipment components like the acrylic dome and O-rings indicate a culture lacking openness. Safety. Overlooked for innovation. The reluctance to class the Titan, despite industry norms and expert advice, suggests that safety protocols were potentially compromised in favor of expediency or cost saving. Operational incidents, repeated mechanical issues, such as the malfunctioning drop weight mechanism witnessed by Mr. Catterson, underscore potential deficiencies in the submersible's design and maintenance. Continuing with the revelations from the hearing, further testimonies shed light on the frantic search efforts and additional safety concerns surrounding the Titan submersible. During the intense search for the missing Titan, sonar buoys detected what sounded like banging noises from the ocean depths. This development sparked hope that the crew might still be alive. Former OceanGate contractor Tim Catterson addressed this during his testimony, explaining the significance of such noises. He stated, "If it happens more than once, or it happens consistently, it's something that humans are doing." This pattern suggested intentional signals rather than random ocean sounds, leading rescuers to believe the sub might be drifting, and that the crew was attempting to communicate. Search teams were dispatched to the locations where these noises were detected. However, as Mr. Catterson noted, there were theories flying around from people totally without sleep and very anxious. The situation was fraught with uncertainty and desperation. He also revealed that the Polar Prince, the support vessel for the Titan, did not have a remotely operated vehicle, ROV, on board, which limited immediate deep-sea search capabilities. An ROV was later deployed but encountered issues and failed on the seafloor, necessitating its recovery. Subsequently, another ROV from Pelagic Research Services arrived and, within 10 minutes of being sent down, found debris from the Titan. In a poignant moment, Mr. Catterson became the second former OceanGate employee to admit he would not have felt comfortable diving to depth on the Titan. He expressed serious reservations about the materials used in the sub's construction, stating, "I don't believe that the composites are the correct material for a pressure vessel. I had my doubts, I had my opinions. When I tried to figure out the strength of the hull, I couldn't make it work well enough." He believed the design was too close to the edge, implying that safety margins were insufficient for the extreme pressures at deep sea levels. When asked if he had voiced these concerns to OceanGate personnel, Mr. Catterson confirmed that he had spoken to David Lockridge, a former OceanGate engineer and subpilot, CEO Stockton Rush, and engineering director Tony Nissen. He stated that he raised concerns to pretty much anyone who would listen, but acknowledged that he had no written records to substantiate these conversations. Delving deeper into his interactions with Stockton Rush, Mr. Catterson recounted a conversation where he expressed that his calculations did not align with those of other engineers working on the Titan. He told Mr. Rush, "I wasn't positive about what was going to happen," highlighting his uncertainty about the submersible's structural integrity. Mr. Rush responded by assuring him that he had several engineers working on this and they say otherwise. Mr. Catterson interpreted this as Mr. Rush placing confidence in his engineering team, possibly overlooking the dissenting opinions. He reflected on this exchange by saying, "Clearly, somebody knew what they were doing, and I was assuming they were going to know more than I did." Despite his reservations, he deferred to the assumption that the engineering team had adequately addressed any potential issues. When asked for any final remarks, Mr. Catterson shared his personal theory on what caused the Titan's catastrophic failure. He stated, "What I feel is that the implosion happened instantaneously." He believed that the failure occurred at the forward glue line at the ring, suggesting a critical structural weakness at the junction where materials were bonded. Emphasizing the suddenness of the event, he reassured that the people in there had no idea this was coming. Mr. Catterson added, "Let the public know that nobody was suffering in there. They were probably all just happy waiting to see the Titanic when this happened." His remarks aimed to provide some solace by suggesting that the crew did not experience prolonged distress. With Mr. Catterson's testimony concluded, the hearing was adjourned for the day. The session provided profound insights into the operational challenges and safety concerns associated with the Titan submersible. The testimonies highlighted a pattern of overlooked warnings and underscored the critical importance of adhering to rigorous safety standards in deep-sea exploration. The hearing is set to resume the following day, with testimony expected from David Lockridge, a former OceanGate engineer and sub-pilot. Mr. Lockridge has previously alleged that he was fired for raising safety concerns, and his insights are anticipated to shed further light on internal practices within OceanGate leading up to the tragedy. So that's where things stand. A haunting final message. All good here. From the depths of the ocean, and an expedition that ended in unimaginable tragedy, the ongoing hearing has peeled back layers of decisions, oversights, and warnings that paint a complex picture of what really happened to the Titan submersible and its crew. But this story is far from over. The next few days are crucial as more testimonies and evidence come to light. We'll be here, digging deeper, connecting the dots, and bringing you the latest developments. If you found this video insightful, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Tomorrow we'll be back with new updates from the hearing, diving even further into this profound event that has captured the world's attention. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.